him go live in a few seconds. Close it out. Okay, greetings to my international African family. Hotep, Ekaro, Ekasan, Ekale, Ekarole, wherever you are in the globe today, we welcome you and we thank you for tuning into another episode of Black Trauma Uncensored. And today is episode 10, and we have an amazing guest with us here today, which we would like to introduce. But before that, I'm going to introduce my comrade, host, ERA.
Greetings, Akwaba, Akabo. I am ERA, fellow host of Siraj, Brother Siraj, and I am excited about our guest today, our esteemed guest.
Okay, so our esteemed guest today is Mama Kajara. So let's give Mama Kajara a round of applause. We'll give her that round of applause. Sorry.
For all the healing work that you have been doing throughout the years. I am one of your distant students.
Okay.
I gotta finish up my classes. My what did I buy? I bought some Reiki classes, level 1 and 2. I'm gonna get it together at some point.
Go ahead and get it. Go ahead and do it, my sister. Definitely don't wait too long.
Mm-hmm.
So sorry. So for those who are maybe those who are tuning in who are new, would you, Mama Kajara, would you like to let the audience know more about you and the work you do?
Yes, absolutely. I first want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to share with your family, your audience, and give thanks to the ancestors for bringing all of us here together in this time.
Sure.
And I am Raki Kajara Nebehet. I'm the founder of the Raseki Arts Temple. I am a healer priestess, an educator, artist. I am a modern day freedom fighter, a light worker, and dragon slayer. I am also an earth keeper, a ambassador of wellness, a sacred woman. I'm a mother and a grandmother, and I am an author. I have written and published 13 books. I also have a deck of oracle cards. I am a Reiki master teacher. I wrote the books on Kemetic Reiki, and I have been teaching Kemetic Reiki for almost 20 years all over the world, actually. So thank you for letting me share that.
Yeah. That's brilliant. Is there any questions you would like to ask, Ia?
Now, yeah, I want to ask you, what compelled you to have Mama on the show today?
Yeah, well, what compelled me is when it comes to Black Trauma Uncensored, we like to dive into so many different pockets, and we felt that Mama Kajara would be a great addition, when it comes to just expressing and explaining what healing through spiritual awakening looks like when it comes to trauma, what goes on within our community. So we got her on because we would like to hear from her, and yeah, we're always we're always interested to know um, what that looks like.
And so we're talking about intergenerational healing. I'm familiar, very familiar with Mama Kajar's work. I was introduced to Mama Kajar through the Quarterly Sister Circle that I co-host with Inaya Baruti, who we've had Baba and Mama on in previous shows for complementarity. And doing one of our sister circles, Mama was suggesting. I actually was a candidate in a doctoral program, and I was struggling and couldn't understand what was going on, like, because the work was, to me, simple work, right? You read the book, you write the paper, you go do the research. That's what I do, right? Not a problem. But I was having such a physiological response to being in that setting. And academia is what I used to always run to. We had Mama Marimba on as our first guest, right? And she was talking about academitis, where you get into that mode and now everything is about that. You're on autopilot running for the enemy, right? And so I was actually a proponent of that, unfortunately. But then when it became too much for my actual body, I didn't realize this was a spiritual thing going on. And Mama said, and then y'all said, you need to talk to Mama Kajar. And I did. And it was amazing how divinely aligned the message that I got back in we call it Dafa in Ifa, is divination, but it was a reading. I did an ancestral reading and a Know Thyself, I think. I also did another one, the couples reading. And in it was the same message I got in the Dafa in 2017. I saw Mama in 2000, I want to say 21 or 2020. And I was just like, wow, like the work is working. Test to the authenticity, the validity. So yeah, that was my introduction to Mama Kajar. And of course, as I was saying earlier, I bought the you can go to the Reiki classes in person, but there's also virtual and the recordings. So I bought the recordings because I was in the doctoral program. I had so much going on, but I was struggling between their education and our education. And so, yeah, I was in limbo. But yeah, so Mama, you still offer all of these resources, and we're talking about intergenerational healing. I brought up Know Thyself and the ancestral readings. Oh man, I remember when you met my ancestors. You was cracking up. She's a tough cookie. And it was enlightening. It was powerful. It was heavy. Because it was so much that you were able to see that I didn't even know. And I had to go and do my own research on my people in order to figure out to understand what it is that you were conveying to me.
Put it all together.
Yeah. So intergenerational healing. Yeah. How much of that do you do? Is it a lot, and is it heavy on you?
Well, I would say it's not a lot. It's not enough, to be honest with you. And actually, I was just having a conversation about this yesterday with my students, because there's a lot of intergenerational trauma that has occurred in our family lines, especially with abuse and molestation, that type of thing. And so the intergenerational healing is something that is needed, especially to prevent it, from going to the next generation. Yeah, we want to break those cycles. So the exciting thing is that this is the time to break those cycles. The universe, society has already started the process some years ago with the Me Too thing, that brought out a lot of stories and things that people had been holding on to, which is how the cycle continues because of the secrecy. And so when people feel comfortable and safe and are allowed to share, that's when the healing really, really begins. And so, especially when it comes to generational healing, because, whether it's abuse or, for us, generational healing also includes us shifting the way that we eat and the way that we live and things like that as well. So, when we think about those things, we have to first identify the problem. So if we are a family that continues to have diabetes and we know we get together every holiday and overeat, those are the type of cycles that we should break, because we know better now. And I feel like, holidays back 100 years ago meant a lot more because, families were a little bit more detached. Food may have been a little bit more scarce. And so those types of traditions, they're not even as valid anymore because you could buy turkey, anytime if you want it, that type of thing. So, and then getting back to the cycles of abuse, cycles of addiction, those types of things takes a little bit more effort and energy to really shift. But it is also happening, things are changing. The younger people who have seen their parents, their aunties, uncles go through certain things, many of them have decided they don't want that type of lifestyle. They're choosing something different. And so that in itself is healing as well. And then for us as a people, us living according to someone else's lifestyle, especially when it's a death culture, when we are following behind people who put poison in the food and sell it to children, to make money. That type of thing, we can also break those cycles because we have more knowledge, we have more understanding, and it's just a matter of shifting. And we have to look at it that way, embracing our own culture and doing what's best for us every single time. We've had the stuff going on with Target, with Walmart, people boycotting, but is it a boycott that we need, or is it just the change?
Or are you just mad right now?
The way that we spend our money. Like this is our opportunity to redirect those $1 trillion of spending power that we have and put it into our own community, which would give us the strength that we need. That's the healing that we need. We really also need to remember our ancestors, remember our spiritual culture. I always say the Black Panthers movement was super strong, but had they had the Orishas, the Neteru, the Abasum, some other forces, working with them, I just feel like, they probably would have lasted a lot longer. You know what I mean? So for us, we can use that as a guide. We can learn that lesson and call on those forces that can assist us. Call on the ancestors to assist us. Call on nature, basically.
That's right.
To assist us in whatever it is that we are working towards, whether it's healing, building, manifesting. It's our culture that is going to save us. It always has. That's why they left it on those pyramid walls, so that we would never forget.
That's right. And scrolling at the bottom of the screen, we'll see the Raseki healing. You have the Raseki store, and you mentioned the way that we eat, what we consume, whether that's visually, orally, audibly, whatever it is. You do have products, resources. I mentioned I bought the readings and the classes, but I've also the spirulina, chlorophyll. You have the chlorophyll, and the iodine. You have the teas. right? The
I do.
segment healing seed. You got a lot of stuff, right?
I do. I do.
And
Mhm.
economic power. We must invest in us. So you all click on, I don't know if you could click on it, but copy and paste it, whatever you need to do, visit the store because this
Thank
is healing inside and out. You
you.
also have the meditation. When we read the books, I have all of your books.
Okay. Thank you.
So yes, when you be intentional about the behavior, because when media is media, whether you're listening to it, you're watching it, reading it impresses upon the mind, the spirit, the soul.
That's right.
So get the books,
Mm.
read it yourself. The audio thing, Audible, that's cool, that's nice. But when you hear your voice, your own voice, and you repeatedly say those words, you are shifting something within you.
That's
So
right.
I encourage you all to visit Raseiki Healing.
Thank you.
Siraj? Absolutely, Mama.
Yeah.
And I just have to say, the reading of the books is one of the ways that we will be able to counteract the the AI, the tech taking us over. Because if we allow it to take over and we don't continue to cultivate our minds, like we're in the matrix, but we're not as deep as we could be. And so yeah, I just had to add that since you mentioned the books, and thank you again.
Indeed, Mama.
Hmm.
Do I to you. Thank you to you for
Yeah,
producing that, because that's what we're called to do. Right? We're
absolutely.
called to contribute to our race consciousness and
Hmm.
understanding what our origins are so we can tap into that power, like you said, in nature in itself. We are nature, right? But we
Yes.
don't know that, if we don't read it, if we don't know where to go. And so that's why we bring forth such great esteemed guests, because you all have what we need and what we need to continue. Not just take. We got to make deposits. Siraj has said it before, when you're reading, and this is something that he and I have talked about, you're reading to build. This is not, I mean, you can read for leisure too, that's fine, but we really don't have time to squander. You should
That's
be
Mm.
right.
building, you should be
Mm.
implementing those strategies.
And just to piggyback off that, just to segue
You
into
want a
that.
veggie back.
Yeah, just to segue into we not just with the books. The books is one thing, but also with whether it's podcasts like this, events and so forth. It's one of the best ways to decolonize, and
Yeah.
learn from the learn from the elders who have a wealth of information, and to be open, not to be so closed-minded, just be open and so forth, because a lot of the healing practices, the holistic products, the books, it can all help. This is all long term. It can all help. So I've been so grateful to come into this community. Obviously, now being in the community for probably 40, maybe 15 years and so forth, and just having the willingness to reach out to people to learn more about what they do and so forth, and also to incorporate their messages, their services into my own life to help me with my healing as well. And this is something we can all take aboard.
And you said it's long term, right?
Mm.
Mama does, well, let me ask, do you still do the quarterly? Because I know I do it for myself. A quarterly like detox cleanse. You still do
I
that?
do. I do.
Okay.
I do.
These
Yes.
are methods that we can use to help us, as this, like you said, is long term. We can't
Right.
think, oh, we know what to
It's a
do, we're
lifestyle.
just going to do it. It's not as easy as it sounds. So you have to do things routinely to keep yourself on track. Mama, can you speak to the significance of that equinox solstice routine that you have contributed to our people?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We have been doing the solstice detox. Ooh, I think we started maybe like 2012, 2013, something like that. And it's a 21-day raw food fast. And of course, when we started, most people did not know nothing about fasting on raw food. And so it led to us writing a raw food cookbook, to assist
Oh,
people in doing that. And of course, the solstice is a divine time. It's the longest day of the year, the summer solstice. And it marks that halfway point, for the Western calendar anyway. But for us in Kemet, it also marks the point of beginning to the countdown, of the star Sirius rising and the Kemetic New Year. So, it's many reasons why when the sun is very high, it makes everyone's energy higher because, of course, the sun feeds our energy. It's the infinite energy source. So, that is the perfect time for us to clear our bodies and to tune into the universe. So we're fasting so that we can do that, be more healthy, tune in spiritually, raise our vibrations, connect with the ancestors and our traditional culture, our traditions even. And it's the same for the equinox. They all hold special importance. The equinox times is a time of equal day and night. So it's a time to gain more balance. Of course, we fast because we want to be more balanced. Fasting helps us to do that. The winter solstice is a time of quiet. It's a dark time on this side of the year planet. And so another good time to fast so that we can tune into ourselves and prepare for that next cycle. And, that is also how our ancestors lived. Even those on this side of the world, as well as those on the other side, they will always make certain teas and drink special cleansing teas around the times of the changing seasons. Certain herbs were done, certain prayers were done, certain offerings were made. That is how we always kept balance with those. It's a lifestyle. It's not just something we do, for today. It's just something that we remember, and we do it so that we can maintain balance in this crazy, chaotic world that may not want us to be too balanced.
Yeah, and happy HAPI New Year for those of us who do practice. Look it up, HAPI. We got limited time, so we don't want to go too far into culture. But speaking of the summer solstice this year, we were in new moon phase. We set our intention, set our goals, and you spoke to the herbs that are harvested at certain times, right? Because it's important when you actually harvest them, when you want to get the maximum nutrients. For the herbs that you do offer, I know I always get the segment healing. It has the cayenne pepper in it.
Yes.
Can you speak to the importance of knowing what to use and when to use and why you're using what you're using?
Oh, absolutely. We should be our own medicine men and women now, because we don't want to keep running to others who don't seem to actually want to make us completely better, So in traditional ways, all the cultures all over the world, they use herbs. They would grow their own or, buy them. And the herbs will help us to cleanse the body, cleanse the organs, restore us. I encourage everyone to get a couple of herb books for yourself. If you have children, especially, you should have some herb books on hand so that you don't have to run to the doctor for every little thing. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I hear the mamas sometimes, and I be like, you ain't.
I know.
You ain't even really got to do all that.
Right.
But it's just because, a lot of people don't know. But it really is not that hard. Get some herb books, get a little bit more knowledge about natural healing. I offer classes. Many other people offer healing classes, things that you could do that won't cost a lot of money, but can last, through generations. You know what I mean? The Reiki healing, learning how to do sound healing and different things. You teach that to your children, and it continues to be passed on. And that's the culture. That's how traditions are kept. And also, one of the reasons why we're in this place is because we had that little time period where the traditions were broken purposely, intentionally. We were torn away from our culture. So it's just, since then, well, since the last maybe 50, 60, 70 years, we've really been on a path to restore our culture. Since we've had more access to information, it's sped up a little bit. Like, we can get information now about stuff that we never could before, or it would just be very difficult. And so that makes it like we have no excuse. No excuse at all. We should be able to tune in, whatever it is you want to know. If you know how to work with your ancestors, you could get the answers. It's really that simple. So, yeah.
You mentioned Kemetic Reiki, and you hear a lot of people, Reiki, even yoga. I'm a certified Basu through Brother Ankh, Netter Ankh, and it's a reason why we say Kemetic first, because we are the first. And I want you to speak to, because I start talking. For why do you say Kemetic Reiki? Because I've seen you in action in the spaces of other people being present. At first I didn't understand, like, why is she inviting us to this and with these other people who ain't really for us and they really stole our stuff, and I couldn't understand. But then I watched you and I was like, oh. And then I'm a Garveyite, a dues paying member Garveyite of the UNIA ACORC 2020. And so then I started to understand we have to be present. We have to show up. We have to be our representation, because not only are we remembering in the spirit of Offset ourselves and our culture, we got to let them know, hey, no, we still here. Don't forget where you came from. Absolutely. But speaking to Kemetic Reiki, you're a spiritualist, right? You're a priestess. Why is it important to know the origins of what you practice?
Well, when I visited Kemet, the tour guide told us that everything had its origins in ancient Kemet. And so, the texts, the sacred sites in Kemet, what they call Egypt now, is the first place that all of this information was recorded. The information about energy, art, science, the calendar, the medical tools, surgery, birthing, everything you could think of, sayings that we have to this day came from ancient Kemet. Most people don't even realize a good bit of the Proverbs and the Psalms. So, it's important for us to know that, because it helps us to have confidence in who we are, especially for our children because there's no state called Black, no country called Black, but Kemet is the land of the Black.
That's
what the word means, and I don't really argue online like that because I don't have time, but I've seen arguments of people saying it means this, it means that, but ultimately that's the meaning, the land of the Black. So, for us people who are Black, whether we're brown, coppery, light, whatever, however we identify. I identify myself as Black because it includes all of us in the diaspora who feel that connection to, Africa or we feel a connection to, the motherland or our culture. Okay, that's what Black people, African Americans may not feel that. So that, how we identify ourselves, that's self-determination. That's Kuji Chagulia. We define ourselves. And so how you define yourselves is who you are. For Kemetic Reiki, we want people to know that it did start in Kemet. It didn't start in Japan. That man in Japan traveled to Egypt, got some knowledge like everybody else.
Everybody else
Went there to get knowledge and came out, and then he presented to the world with Reiki. So Ra-Seki means Reiki. Reiki is the Ra, or the rays of the sun. That's Ra. The Seki is the personal energies, life force energy, which is the key, the Sekim. So it's the unity of infinite energy with our own personal energy. That came from us. It comes from us. Even when they came out with The Secret, the law of attraction, I had already been teaching people reciprocity. And I'm like, look at this here.
Right.
Here they go again. It gave it back to us, but it came from us.
Repackage it.
And stepped on it 30 times before they gave it back.
Reciprocity. It's on the walls. It's in the sacred text. Reciprocity, so it's nothing new under the sun. Even that is a saying from ancient Kemet. Okay. You'll be surprised when when I'm reading and researching, I'm like, wow, even this. Yes, even that.
Know thyself, and you shall know the God.
That is why we have to know, because it gives us a connection. And a connection, if you go there and see those sacred sites, those pyramids, it's such a spectacular sight. It changes you just being in the presence. Like, my people built this. Like, it's out. They had to have been giants. How did they do it? Like, it's that powerful.
And therefore I am.
Exactly.
Come on now.
We just forgot.
And I am because
we out here watching Ratchet Housewives shows, and our frequency, we listening to music that when we listen to Earth, Wind, and Fire, it helped us to remember. They played that music that would raise your
vibration,
your energy. Yeah,
absolutely. I went and saw them twice, and the last time was in Vegas a couple years ago, and they still had the pyramids up. They still have it. It's like the image. It's in your face. You can't deny it. I don't care who in the audience, because everybody in the audience, but everybody's getting it. It's downloading, and it's the lights. They're very intentional about the propaganda, the messaging. We must remember.
I have to feel like it's because when I went, the Neteru were like, bring us with you, take us with you, bring us alive. And I'm sure he got the same message. That's why he came back with the pyramids, because it's like I had to show everybody this power. This, it's very powerful. So we give thanks.
Thanks. Doing. Oh, Siraj, you look like you were getting ready to say something. That's why I paused.
Oh, really? No, I'm just soaking in. I'm just soaking in all the information. I'm very appreciative, Mama Kajaro's been able to join us today, and I'm a student, so I am learning from everything what's being said. I'm down.
Well, since you all deal with trauma, that is something that has been on my mind a lot this year, because we've had a lot of deaths to women, from their partners, ex-partners, that type of thing. And it's just a lot of trauma, that we've had to deal with as a people. And we haven't really had enough conversations in how to heal from the trauma. We don't take enough time to slow down to heal from the trauma. And so it creates a continuous cycle a lot of times in our own lives, and then we pass it on to our children if we don't teach them how to break that cycle. So, doing the spiritual work has definitely been the thing that's helped me through my traumatic times. But it's more, it's definitely much more. It's a lot of, the therapy, counseling type thing, or really just having time to talk about the trauma, because a big part of why it's still harmful is because people don't get to talk about it.
Yeah.
It's stuck inside, and it becomes a tumor or a cyst or some other, or contributes to some other disease, because just because you can't see the emotions do not
They don't
mean that they
filter.
don't, actualize. And so, the trauma release, taking time to just go out in the woods and holler, or write it down, um, dance it out, sing. Some people paint or draw or write, write poems, or it's some type of expression that has to be done to help release the emotions. And then once the emotions are released, sometimes it's things that need to be resolved, whereas this person did this thing, so what's going to happen to them? Some type of resolve. Some things, there is no resolve. It was just an accident, a loss, the grief, so that healing process is a little bit different.
Acceptance. Yeah.
Exactly, because there's no one to talk to, there's no one who can make it right, and it just has to be, you got to come to a place of peace about it, that acceptance, like you said, and just being okay, with life, because we're all dealing with a lot. I talked to someone earlier and they were like, everybody I know is dealing with something. So
It's
I'm
like,
laughing to keep from crying, you know what I mean? Because the stories I'm hearing, my own children and myself, we're dealing with a lot. And we have to also take time for love, for laughter, for family. That is very healing as well.
restorative.
It's extremely restorative. And some people, when they're going through stuff, they tend to withdraw themselves. But really, the medicine is to, go be love and receive love, give and receive. That could be very healing, especially when it comes to healing trauma, when it comes to healing grief. I remember back in the days when someone would make their transition, everybody in the neighborhood would come through the house. They would be there with the family. They would bring food. They would show up. They
For
would
weeks.
be there exactly to support the family, because they knew that is what it took, so that people don't break down and lose their minds. Going through a grief, a loss of a loved one is very challenging and traumatic in some cases. So, just remembering those types of things can really help us to get through these times. We should not be watching other people go through stuff and we're just at home, when we could at least call and show up. Even the calls are nice, but showing up, when people are going through some trauma, they need somebody to pat them down. You know what I'm saying? Let them cry on your
That
shoulder
touch.
if they need to. That touch, that hug, that's some real stuff right there. That's
Feel
how
it.
we are. That's how our people, really, we used to be. I'm sure some people still are. You just don't see it as much, but
And
Right.
just,
And then for
and
those
just
of us who are supporting, honoring that vulnerability, and it's a sacrifice sometimes, and it is heavy,
yeah,
but honor that, because in the world like we have today, people not so vulnerable. People are very desensitized, very detached, right?
yes,
So it's very important to even be honored that a person would trust you enough to lay that. before you. Just like we say, take it to the altar. We do. We think we get it from a certain belief system, but we been had altars. If I don't know
Mm.
nothing else, I know to tell somebody put that picture up and light a candle, put that white tablecloth down, and
Right.
talk to them. They there. You got to
Yeah.
open up that door, right?
I
So
think
yeah, it's important.
I think just to add to that, yeah, we also have to recognize it's bigger than us. It's bigger than us. So with the, as you mentioned, Mama Kujara, in regards to the withdrawing part, we find that that's like a common thing which many brothers and sisters do too often. And when it comes to just being in these spaces, learning and utilizing the resources, it could really help, because a lot of folk don't know how much damage it causes when we
To
don't come together,
release,
to
right?
do you understand, to do the work, because it's
Right.
intergenerational. That's
Mhm.
something you need to remember. It's intergenerational, so it's going to affect your children, your uncles, your
Mhm.
aunts, just everybody, your comrades, everybody around you. So we need to remember this is collective Ubuntu.
It's collect, right,
Too.
right, and we are also impacted by intergenerational. We
That's
Mm,
right.
thinking everything is happening right now, and it's happening to me, and I'm feeling it. Well, guess what? It's been happening decades and centuries before you, and
Mm.
our ancestors come back through. We are our
yeah.
ancestors. So
Mm-hmm.
imagine that you coming back with that, and
Yes.
you experiencing this. You have to have a way to be able to come to and say, "Listen, I need you," or if you can't, be able to recognize when you are needed.
Mm-hmm.
Show up.
And I will add that I've found too, when it comes to trauma, if we don't resolve it in one generation, it does get passed to the next generation.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that is, oof, it's hard to
Mm-hmm.
see, but it definitely happens. So it's like, the universe saying, you see this happening, so you need to make sure you break the cycle. And thankfully, there are, or I would say, this is the time for us to break the cycles. Like, the age of Aquarius.
Mm-hmm.
We stepped into it. We're the generation to break the
Mm-hmm.
cycles, because we're the in between the ages, generations, and
Mm-hmm.
we're built for it. So, we just have to make sure we do what we can, especially when
Mm-hmm.
we can witness and identify those harmful cycles in our families.
Absolutely. And we have to do it for self, be knowledgeable when we are assisting. Don't necessarily do it from that emotional place, although spirit is real and it will guide you. You also have to have a little bit of knowledge, or a lot of bit of knowledge,
Yeah,
when you are
that's
assisting, because you don't want to hurt more than what's already being imposed in that harm. Siraj, you said there's some questions
Yeah.
that were
So
being asked.
we're on to the questions on Facebook. Well, no, there's people who are interacting on Facebook. So I just wanted to say peace and love to our Facebook family. I see brother Mentu Sani saying peace. Craig Samuels, Hotep, RBG Patar, Black Power. So I just wanted to acknowledge our African Facebook family. And somebody asked a question. I think this is addressed to you, Mama Gajara,
okay.
saying, "Can you speak on the importance of energy in names, naming products, and libations? Our people covet your own names and products, not understand. We give up our energy just buying
Mm.
food, if that was what they're supposed to say, or Fort Jameson. Okay, I think that might have been. I don't know if that's liquor or something like that, but yeah. Is this well? Is this something you can respond to, Mama?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I
Yeah.
actually do name readings because I learned the importance of our names, and the fact that most of us carry the names of our families enslaver,
Mhm.
the colonizers. Many of us have their names. And so it's a way of freeing ourselves from those ties when we embrace names that reflect our culture. And I feel like, it's crucial, because in Africa, all over Africa, from what I understand, everything has a meaning. In fact, most things have a few different meanings. Most words have a few different meanings, and names are given based on the energy of the person. So the meaning of the name should reflect the energy of the person who the name belongs to. And they would do that through divination. They would, check the energy of the child and then create or use a name that was in alignment with that. And so, that's how I do name reading still to this day, because I know it's important. And, a lot of people will name their children, like Mercedes and Cavassier or other names like that, which, you will really want to check the meaning of
Etymology.
whatever name you want to name your child. Because every time you call that name, you are calling on the energy of that name. Okay?
That's right.
And so if the name does not have a positive, uplifting meaning, then you're actually projecting that, whatever that meaning is, onto that child. And so, that's why it's important. That's why we don't want to just be naming our children anything. It should be something that has a meaning that, is going to uplift them when you call them. So, yeah. Thank you for that question. I know it was something else.
Libation.
Oh, pouring libations is a part of our culture. We want to make sure that we honor our ancestors. And so we call their names and pour water for them to give them energy. And we give them energy because they give us energy in return. Every relationship should be reciprocal. You give, you receive, you give, you receive. Even with the ancestors, you want to give them things because you certainly are going to ask them for something at some point. So, you have to give them something in return. And that's just how that goes. Libations are a beautiful way to not just connect with your ancestors, but with all of nature. When I was doing that Speaking with Spirit book, it's a book of prayers from all over Africa and prayers even from here. And what I found is that everybody's morning prayer is pretty much the same, whether it's East Africa, West Africa, the indigenous ones here, and I think even I might have had an Arabic prayer that was similar. And the way that you honor the Most High, you honor the directions, you honor the elements, those things, and then the ancestral realm, the forces. Everybody does that. That is the traditional way that we pray. So the libations, that's just what we call it now.
Okay. Well, once again, this has been an amazing show. But before we go, we would like Mama Kujara to just let the audience know once again where they can find, just even if you've got any like events coming up, please let our brothers and sisters know. I know you're quite active on your page and you post a lot of your events and so forth, and like retreats. So yeah, Mama Kujara, let us know.
All right. So I actually do have a Kemetic Reiki Level 1 online class coming up in 2 weeks. It's going to start July 14th. So that is online. So wherever you are in the world, you're welcome to join. The last class I did, I actually had a sister in the Netherlands to join the class. So, we're always happy to have our family from wherever to join in. We have retreats coming up. We're going to Topsail Island in August. We'll be going back to Sedona in November, I'm going to be posting. We've been working to get to Jamaica, but we're going to push the dates back. Probably go in December to Jamaica or another island because I love the islands and I must go. So you can definitely stay connected. We're going to be doing some Wet Repent celebrations, one in Boston, July 25th. We'll be going to Brooklyn. I think it's September 19th. We'll be in Richmond in August to celebrate Wet Repent with the Council of the Wise. And of course, like you all said, I always have stuff going on. Books. I just put out the 30 Days of Shadow Work book. And all of those things are available on the website at rasekihealing.com. We are doing sister circles every Monday night, really organizing women, giving us an opportunity to have a safe space to share and to educate each other so that we can protect ourselves. We are doing a Protect Women and Children movement as well because there's been so much violence against Black women this year. And we just felt like we needed to at least say something. Say something. I always think, what in 50 years or whatever time in the future, the children will look back and read about this time and they're going to say, well, what did you all do? What, when they were putting them children on them islands, when they were locking up 2 million Black men, when they were, killing men and women on the street, hanging our children.
What did you do?
The trafficking, the missing, what did you do? We all have to ask ourselves.
Take your phone out and record.
What are we going to do? So,
yeah. Well, gratitude. Dua, mama. Dua, Sante Sana, Madasi Pa.
Absolutely. Thank you all for doing what you all are doing and sharing. That's always important. Dua to you.
Okay, we appreciate you, Mama, and we just appreciate you. Gave us the time, to make an appearance and just share your wisdom, not just with us, but also with our African family globally. Okay, well, that's another episode of Black Trauma Uncensored, and once again, you can find Mama Kujara's information on her website, which is scrolling across the screen. If you want to quickly take a screen capture of that. And until next time, a BB Fode.
BB Fode, BB Tumi, Uhuru Sasa.
Uhuru Sasa. All power to the people.
To the people.